If you're out on the road, feeling lonely and so cold, all you have to do is call my name and I'll be there. On the next train where you lead, I will follow anywhere that you tell me to. Why did I go all the way up there? I don't... So I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I am a huge Gilmore Girls fan. In fact, beyond the research I had to do for this very episode, I have never seen an episode of this show. I don't even know what network it originally aired on. I'm going to guess the CW, based on its general look and stuff. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of this matters, because it seems that a surprising number of you guys are fans of Gilmore Girls, and you've been asking me to make Miss Patty's famously potent Founders Day punch. So in Season 5, Episode 18 of Gilmore Girls, Old Man Twickum, the oldest man in Stars Hollow, finally kicks the bucket after being at the center of some bizarre and morbid annual farewell, hope you liked being alive for so long ritual for many, many years.
Twickum's been dying for 20 years.
This is my 17th time saying adios.
Yeah, I think you have the record, Patty.
He leaves his house to the town, and Luke volunteers to join the committee to turn the house into a museum.
A museum?
Are you going to interrupt me the whole meeting?
I'm just asking.
Though his real plans are to buy it and build a life there. The museum is frankly terrible.
Remember the 60s? A veritable dark age culminating in a sit-in that gathered over 1,000 freaks from the Tri-County area.
But at its opening, Miss Patty can be found out front doling out a cup of her infamous Founders Day punch to anyone who buys a museum ticket. Rory and her pals are all upset about some boy trouble, and so they find themselves dangerously deep into Miss Patty's apparently demonic cups.
Miss Patty's leftover punch is used to remove tar from construction sites.
Then let it remove the tar from our souls.
Here's what I know about Miss Patty's Founders Day punch. It is red in color, it is strong yet easy to drink. And that's about it. That's what the show tells us. So I needed a bit more to go off to make an actual recipe of that, and since this is Founders Punch, I looked up the founding date of the fictional town, Stars Hollow, where Gilmore Girls is set, which was 1779. 1779 is a good year for punch. In fact, we are smack dab in the heyday of punch in 1779. And maybe I should give a quick primer on what punch actually is. Yes, punch is frequently served in a bowl, though it can also be served in a jug or bottled or built one glass at a time. It's not the giant bowl that makes punch punch. It's the ingredients and the balance between them. The main thing that sets punch apart from a cocktail or any other mixed drink is its reliance on using oleo saccharum. It's made by extracting the oils from the peels of usually lemons, but other citruses can be used as well, into sugar, and that dissolves into a sweet lemony oil. I've covered making oleo in the past, and I will include a link here and down below there. There's a number of ways to skin that cat, and how you get there is kind of up to you. Today, I'll be making the oleo on the fly as part of the process to build this punch. And we're gonna get into that right after the break. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute to talk to you about this new taste sensation you may have heard of sweeping the nation. It's called wine. Like many people, I was very intimidated to really dive into wine because I don't know much about wine. There are so many styles, so many grapes, so many origins. It's a lot to process, but thankfully, Bright Cellars is here to simplify all of that for you. And as a real-life wine novice, I can tell you that it works. It is simple. You go to their website and you take this tiny 7-question quiz. Bright Cellars is going to use your answers and pair you up with great wines that they're pretty sure you're going to love. And if it just so happens that you don't love them, well, I guess you could whine about it. Oh boy. To them, when you review their selections, they're going to fine-tune those selections, send you new bottles, and you are off to embark on your journey with wine or something. They're going to send the bottles directly to you, so no more stores. Incredibly convenient. And every bottle comes with handy little education cards. These are great. You're going to learn a ton about wine and the wine that you're drinking from these. The best part, Bright Cellars is offering How to Drink viewers 50% off your first box of 6 bottles. So use the link below to get started. And now back to How to Drink. I'm going to start with 2 lemons, and I'm going to peel them entirely. I'm going to try to get as clean a peel as I can. That is, that there's no pith. There's as little white part of the peel as possible. If you don't have one of these Swiss style peelers, that will help you a lot. But we're just gonna peel these entire things and we're gonna put the peels into this bowl. Other people are gonna do this different ways. I tend to find that the best way for me is just go from the top to the bottom. The other thing about punch is that we're not gonna be too strict about the ingredient, like the measures here. Punch traditionally would be something that would have been made on the fly. Jerry Thomas, in his notes on punch making, he kind of avoided giving ingredients too, saying that, like, look, every lemon has a different level of acidity and sweetness, and you're gonna have to kind of feel this out as you go to get it just right. I will give you numbers, just I'm saying don't feel like you have to be locked into them. Okay, now we're going to add to the peels approximately 4 ounces of sugar. And then I'm gonna eyeball it too. If I'm gonna look at it and say, 4 ounces doesn't look about right. Most of the bartenders I like will tell you to use about 2 ounces of sugar for every fruit's worth of peel in your oleo. All right, put that there. All right, now we got our sugar and our lemon peels put together. So I'm gonna grab my muddler, and I'm just gonna muddle these two together. You know, you can actually get this pretty damp just by pressing this. And I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just pressing the peels and sugar together and kind of helping the sugar destroy the vessels and break open the cells that have all that lemon oil in it on the skin of this lemon. I suppose a mortar and pestle wouldn't be the worst thing to use here. I think this is pretty good already. It's one of those things where the better you do, the better you do. So just pressing and twisting. And I am using a lot more force than I normally would ever muddle anything with. That's why you see me with both hands on here. Just trying to make sure that there's no dry sugar. Okay. So I'm gonna brew my tea, and I've got my basket, my pot, and my leaves. I'm going to probably use all of these, honestly, because I want to make this tea stronger than I normally would, and really strong, like as powerful, punchy as I possibly can. And to that end, you know, sometimes I'm a little bit delicate about, what the temperature of the water is for my tea or something like that. But in this case, I just want it boiling. I just want it to be very hot, very workaday tea. I'm not worried about extracting too many tannins or making it too strong. And you'll find out why as we go through this process. And I'm gonna let that steep for a good long while. It's just gonna give my oleo more time to develop anyway. Probably 5 minutes. All right, so I've been just continuing to muddle this while I waited. My timer went off and I'm ready to pour my tea. Ooh, that is nice and dark, yeah? So I'm gonna add approximately 180 grams of tea to this. I might go over that, seeing on where my level gets to, because, as we know, tea will be heavier than water. So maybe we'll go to 200. That's it. And now I'm just gonna stir that up with my muddler until this is dissolved. We're sort of doing a few steps at once here. Normally, you would make that oleosaccharum in advance, maybe a day or more, usually just a few hours. And then you would add the juice to it, lemon juice, which technically converts an oleosaccharum into a sherbet. Yes, that's where the frozen treat gets its name from. In this case, because we're using hot tea, we can build it all at once and accelerate the whole thing. The sugar is already extracting oils from the lemon peels and has opened up all those vessels and chambers of oil. And the nearly boiling tea that we add to it is gonna further that up and just strip it all out. So, now that we have this ingredient prepared, I'm ready to make this punch. I am only making a single serving here, but I will provide measures in the end to scale it up to a full bowl at the end of the episode. For my process, I'm going to be using 2 mixing glasses, and you'll see why in a moment. If you're gonna do a scaled up version of this, you'll need much larger vessels, one for serving and one for mixing. In the past, I've used food-safe 5-gallon buckets. That's not a terribly photogenic way to go, so here I'm gonna use glass. Now to my mixing glass, the first mixing glass, I want to add 3 ounces or 90 milliliters of this tea and oleo mixture, or, you know, thereabouts. You can get a little bit approximate about this stuff. And I have this handy little jigger here that's got like a handle on it so I can dip in there. And actually it's funny, you can see the oils just laying across the top there. That is a very handy jigger for that purpose. Okay, now I want to add 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, which is going to complete the conversion of our oleosaccharum into sherbet. And handy dandy, we've already got these lemons, so use the ones you peeled for that. So that completes our sherbet. Now I want to add an ounce of port wine using a ruby port wine. I have Sandeman Fine Ruby Porto here. This is why it's a ruby punch. And I need an ounce of Batavia Arrack. Batavia Arrack. A-R-R-A-C-K, Van Oosten. It's a Dutch Indies trading company. So this is a kind of proto-rum. It's made from fermented sugar and rice that then goes into a pot still. You will find this exact bottle at good liquor stores. I'm unaware of any other commercially available Batavia Arracks here in the United States. And there's also a spirit called Arrack. It's a form of anisette from North Africa, I think. This is nothing like that. This tastes like kind of pretty much like a funky pot still rum. And if you can't get your hands on this, that's what I would go for. I would look at like a rum Barbancourt Haitian white as an alternative. Do not use Arrack with its fennel. That's the wrong kind of flavor. Anyway, so an ounce of this. In the heyday of punch, Batavia Arrack was like very important to making good punch. There are, of course, rum punches and cognac brandy punches, but we're doing it this way. Now, this is where things get a little crazy. Now I'm going to add 2 ounces of whole milk to my second glass and then pour the punch that we've been building into that. Yes, it will curdle instantly in the lemon juice. And yes, that is going to be disgusting. You gotta trust me here though, because milk in tea does some really neat things. The casein bonds chemically to the tannins and the other bitter parts in the tea, and it neutralizes them. And it can also apparently reduce the caffeine content. So if you take a really strong tea and add some milk to it, you typically make the caffeine molecules like more inert. If you add milk to something like this, or this to milk, that's too bitter, it's got too much oak on it, too many tannins, or very bitter tea, well, what's gonna happen is the milk will bond to it in curdling, and you can then remove those curdles and it'll pull those parts out and you filter it. And what you end up with when it's done is a very clear, silky smooth cocktail, or in this case, punch. Interestingly, by removing the milk, the curds that we're gonna pull out of this when we're done, you don't remove everything from the milk either. You do add certain proteins to it that change the texture of it and make it very silky. I mean, just smooth, like silk. The other neat thing about it is that it becomes a shelf-stable drink. Back in the day, milk punch was a thing that taverns could make big batches of and bottle, and you could take home, and it would stay. I have some bottles that I made 3 or 4 years ago now. They'll just sit on the shelf until somebody decides to crack them open and drink them. They're pretty neat. So watch, we're gonna pour this in. Most people agree that it is better off pouring the punch into the milk rather than the milk into the punch. I doubt that it makes a huge difference. The idea is that if you go this way, the milk takes a little bit longer to curdle. Whereas if you go the other way, it curdles instantly, although mine has curdled pretty much instantly anyway. And that extra time gives it more time to bond to the things you want to filter out. Milk punch like this was the height of chic in 1779, by the way, so it's extremely period appropriate to the founding of Stars Hollow, the fictional town where Gilmore Girls takes place. So what I've got here, this is called, and you're gonna laugh, but this is called a nut milk bag. It is a very fine piece of cotton. You can use a cheesecloth or something like that. If you look at very old bartending manuals that say filter it through a flannel, I don't really know what a flannel is other than a sheet of flannel. I don't think they meant like a shirt, but you could do that too. Here we go. We're gonna now separate the curds from our drink. Simply lift up the bag here. You'll notice it's not perfectly clear. And that there's a second step to this if you really want to get it really perfectly clear. And you can, like see-through clear. Still have color, but like totally translucent. And that would be to let it sit. If you had a separatory funnel, that would be great. You could let it sit in that and then drain off the bottom. In that case, you could actually skip this part entirely. Or what you can do is you can put it in a bottle or just leave it like this and let it settle. And the cloudiness will settle to the bottom. It's fine to drink. There's nothing, it doesn't really affect the flavor very much at all. Not noticeable in my experience. And then you can take a siphon and siphon off the top. That is tricky to do. I've had limited success with doing that. As soon as you get impatient and you start pinching this thing, I encourage you to be very careful with that because you can squeeze more curds through. But moving it around inside there is not the worst idea. Here we go. Great. And so that is our Founders Day punch. All I need now is a glass to drink it out of. And there's actually more than really one serving here, but yeah, you can see the cloudiness of it. Again, if you let this sit for 10 or 20 minutes, you'll see that it's quite clear. I can serve this any way I like, right? I could have this at room temperature, or we could have it hot if you really wanted to do a hot punch. I'm doing it just at room temperature here. It's actually quite nice this way, I find. Or you could cool it off by refrigerating it, put it in a bottle and put it in the fridge. You could pour it over ice, but I find it is already sufficiently diluted already, and I prefer not to, but hey, it's your house, it's your rules. I don't think Miss Patty would add any more water to this. Anyway, here we go. Miss Patty's Founder's Day Punch. Oh, I love that. Ooh, that is decadently rich. It is so smooth. There is a tartness to it. And I gotta say, I think for whatever reason, maybe I didn't let it sit long enough, my milk filtering didn't work as perfectly this time as it did last time I made this. You know, it's punch, results vary. It's still very good. I'm getting a little bit more acid in the flavor profile here than I got last time on this. Maybe my tea's a lot darker. It could be possible I may have gone over top of the tea. But you would never send this back, it's delicious. It has a mouthfeel and texture, because it's a milk punch, that is pretty cool. I mean, it's not quite like a drink you have had otherwise. I'm gonna try to be as objective as I can and really just name things as they come to me. I'm a little tongue-tied about that today. I'm not doing my best tasting notes. So lemon and sweet with a nuttiness, a warm, mellow, woodsy nuttiness, like sweet nuts, like a macadamia nuttiness from the port wine, and the funkiness of the Batavia is milded out here a bit, but you need it there, you need it to stand up so that something survives. But it's still there as like an afternote, and it is it's this wonderful savory thing that happens at the end of this otherwise fairly sweet and very easy to drink thing. In some ways, it is not unlike a sour. Like it has that kind of a level of sourness, of tartness from the lemon. It has a kind of daiquiri or New York sour-like taste, but remember that we're getting a lot of that sourness from the oils of the lemon and not just from the juice, and that changes the experience, the texture. Really, I'm saying this is a drink that's very much about the texture. The taste is excellent, very, very good, very, very easy to drink. I think perfectly balanced. And what is that? There's a moment there. Maybe it's like caramel. It's just so hard to put my finger on. It's a fleeting tasting note. It comes and goes very quickly. And it's definitely from the interaction of the tea, milk, lemon, sugar thing. It's tough to put my finger on. Boy, that's good. Sure. Why not? Why not, Miss Patty? Pour me another. I guess it is a single serving. Ooh, that's good. It's so good. You could make a big bowl of this and nobody would be upset about it. I would say that it would be better. I mean, it would be even better if we could go for the full separation as opposed to doing a kind of a flash milk punch. But I think it's quite good nonetheless. Huzzah. Huzzah! To Stars Hollow. Yeah, I never got into that show. I don't know what it is about it. I mean, honestly, when it aired, I was like, I think I was a teenager when that show was on TV, or maybe 19 or something like that. And I probably wasn't going to watch a girls show. And it has that vibe, right? It's kind of a girls show. It's not, like there's no such thing as a girls show. But like as a 19-year-old, that's how I thought of it. Dummy. It was a big dum-dum. I should check it out. Maybe it's a good show. I don't know. Well, that is Miss Patty's, or perhaps Stars Hollow, Founder's Day Punch. I'm not sure. Should we call it Miss Patty's Founder's Day Punch? Or is this the Founder's Punch, right? I think it's the Founder's Punch, but you guys can vote. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I would appreciate that very much. I'm on Twitter at How to Drink. I'm on Instagram at How to Drink. Both of those have numbers in it. I am on Patreon at patreon.com/howtodrink. I got a Twitch, and I'm on there a lot. I'm on there every week, streaming Dungeons & Dragons that I am dungeon mastering for my friends at twitch.tv/Greg from HTD. It's a homebrew setting that I am developing as we play along. I do other things. I'm here in the bar, make some drinks, just talking to you, giving unwanted advice, getting saucy, playing some video games. I do all kinds of things. It's fun. You should come hang out. And if you're just interested in seeing the live stream content after it's aired, but you missed it, like the D&D game, and you want to get caught up, there's a second channel now. It's called H2D2, and all of the Twitch stuff kind of winds up over there. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. I would humbly ask that you do the YouTuber special and like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know, I feel like such a jerk off saying that. Really, the cool thing would be if you checked out some of these other episodes that are now popping up on the screen. I've done stuff from the Golden Girls and other TV shows that I like Magnum P.I. They're just waiting for you. They're out there. You should check it out. Take life by the glass. Oh, that's a great saying. I'm patenting that. Oh, my. I'm a dork.